For this challenge, we've been looking at 7-letter words that could be used in Scrabble. So let's start off with our Scrabble input that we have. So we've got all the information in one field. So we've got it separated, the number of points and then a colon, the tile, so whether it's a blank or a letter, and then this little multiply symbol and the frequency of that tile. So we just want to split this all up. So I started off with the points, so splitting on the colon, so that you just get the points here and then all the rest of the information here. You'll notice that the word points has disappeared. So after doing a split, so just going to the field and going to split values, I did a custom split and split on the colon of that original field and took all the values. Then we're left with this field here. So we've got the numeric values and the word points. I just chose to go to the clean menu here and remove all the letters, and therefore I would just have numbers left, so I changed it into a numbers type. Okay, and then I just got rid of that initial field so that we're left with just our points and all the information about the tiles still here. Okay, and then you can see that each of the tiles is separated by commas. So then if we split it up by the commas, then you see that we get lots of fields here. I think it's the all the tiles that have a value of 1 that cause there to be quite so many. But then we do a pivot after we've split on the comma there. So just doing a wildcard search for the word split. So we have all the points still there. Now we have our 27 rows, so one for each letter of the alphabet plus the blank tiles. And finally, we want to just split that up on the X symbol that we have there. I did have to trim first before I did the split, just because there was no space in front of the blank tile, but there was a space in front of each of the other tiles. So if your split wasn't working, then definitely try that. And then just doing a little bit of renaming, making sure to change this into a numeric value. So I tried removing the letters like we did before for the points, but that didn't work. So I had to write a calculation to remove the X. I think the problem is that this is a multiply symbol rather than a letter X. So I just copy and pasted it by, clicking on one of these values to get that X. So just copy and paste that value there and use a replace function. And then we can turn that into a numeric value. And finally, we've got our nice cleaned up data all passed out from that Scrabble dataset. Okay. And then before we join up, we're just going to create that percentage chance. So we first of all need to know how many letters are there, how many tiles are there in total. So we use a LOD for that. So just go to the frequency, drop down here and create a fixed LOD. And we just want to sum up all of these frequencies to get our total number of tiles, and then we do our percentage value rounded to 2 decimal places. Okay, now for cleaning up our 7-letter words. So if we look at our 7-letter words that we have here, pretty clean already. We're just wanting to split these up. So I added on a field where we would look at the length of these words. Unsurprisingly, they will have 7 letters, but I like to keep it dynamic. And we're using the scaffold, just joining it in so that we get a row for each of those 7 letters. So basically we've multiplied the number of rows by 7. And then we're using the mid function to split up our words into their letters. So using mid, 7-letter word, using that scaffold field and just of length 1. So then that gives us each individual letter. So if I click on this one, for example, and scroll up, then you see, even though it's starting from the bottom, working upward, split it up into the individual letters. Okay, so then we just want to aggregate any time that there may be more than one letter in a word. So for example, this abazo word, we have 2 B's, 2 O's, 2 Z's. Then we could just rename that to be number of occurrences. And finally, we just need to make these letters be uppercase for the join to happen. Okay, so we join our letter onto our tile, and now we're trying to work out our probability. So we need to know if we have enough tiles to create this word, and we want to update when there are more than one of those tiles, the probability or the percentage chance field. So that's just a calculated field that we're having here. So if the number of occurrences is less than or equal to the frequency, then that means we have enough tiles to be able to spell this word. So we're going to use the power function of the percentage chance, and then so the percentage chance to the power of the number of occurrences. So if there are 2 letters there, then we would just be squaring this percentage value. Okay, and then otherwise that will be a 0 because it's impossible to spell the word otherwise if we don't have enough tiles. Okay, and then we're going to make the total points. So first of all, we need to update for our points field. We need to multiply the points by the number of occurrences in the word. So if there are 2 A's, we need to make sure that's a 2 rather than a 1, for example. Then we're just using a fixed level of detail calculation to create the total points per word, so grouping by each of those 7-letter words and summing up the points fields. And then we can get rid of the points fields and just be left with our word, our total points, our percentage chance, and our letter. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to multiply the percentage chance. So basically, if I look at this abazo again, I want to be able to multiply all of these values together. Now we can't work across multiple rows in Tableau Prep at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to pivot the data so we have a column for each letter, and then we'll multiply together all the columns. Okay, so we've got our letter being the new column headings, and we're bringing our percentage chance into the values for those fields. So now you can see we've got all of our letters A, B, C, D all the way through. Okay, and then the calculation that I've written here to get our final percentage chance value is very long. It took me a little while of copying and pasting, but basically it's saying if the value is null, which there are a lot of nulls around in these columns. So if we're looking at A, for example, first, if that's null, then give it a percentage chance of 1 so that it doesn't mess up when we're multiplying. Otherwise, leave it as it is, and then we do that for every single letter column that we have, and that will give us the product of all of those columns. And then we can get rid of all of those letter columns, and we can just be left with our percentage chance, our 7-letter word, and our total points. So all we need to do now, a little bit of filtering, a little bit of ranking. So we're filtering out the percentage chances that are 0. So the way that I thought would be easiest to do that would go to the filter section, go to selected values, and I went to exclude, and I found the 0 option there. Obviously it's not there at the moment because it's being added on at the end, but that's how I chose to filter out that 0 there. And then I did the rankings. So first of all, did the likelihood rank. So for the percentage chance field, in a descending order, doing a dense rank. So the most likely word is at the top, and then I did a points rank as well. So a descending order for the total points, a dense rank there, and then the lower the number, the more points. So you can see a kind of trend where, the lower points ranks, so the most higher scoring values, they have lower likelihood rankings. But I just thought that was an interesting data set to play around with, and I hope that you enjoyed that and had a lot of fun with it. So thanks very much for watching.